It's the best way to start your NFL Sunday. Welcome everybody back to Sunday Morning Slants. I'm your host, Matt Watson, joined alongside Mason, Luke, and Ethan. How are we tonight, gentlemen?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And so tonight, with the NFL season set to kick off in about 25 hours from the moment of this recording, we're going to be talking a little bit about the future of the NFL, but we're not going to dive in just yet into the Cowboys and the Eagles. We're going to instead take our talks to the AFC East and the Buffalo Bills, and more specifically, Josh Allen. And so last season, the Bills came up short yet again in the AFC Championship game, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Allen has now put together quite a resume in his young NFL career, but he has not gotten over the hump and into a Super Bowl, much less won one. So after several years of Josh Allen getting so close to the dance but falling short, we're talking about tonight whether or not this is his last chance at winning a Super Bowl. So, Ethan, I'm going to start with you tonight. We've seen Josh Allen put together, like I said, quite the resume, a lot of great seasons. He was the MVP last year in the NFL, but he fell short again to Patrick Mahomes. Do you think that this season, 25-26, is Josh Allen's last chance of winning a Super Bowl?
Probably not. I don't think so. No, I think. Maybe he's not getting any better, but if he just stays at least, if he stays at the level that he is right now, as long as he plays up to his own standard that he's created, or even slightly below it. He's had worse seasons than he had last year, and they still made it to the AFC Championship game. So I don't know. I think he can. I think he probably would have one if it wasn't for Mahomes. And let's face it. It is. I don't. It's not an excuse, but it is difficult to beat, one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time, especially if you don't get the title of being the greatest by losing in the playoffs to other quarterbacks. So I think it's just unfortunate that Mahomes is who he has to play against, but it is what it is. At a certain point, if he wants to be known as one of the best, he has to go out and win it himself. But I think he'll still have other opportunities.
All right, Luke, I will throw it over to you. Your debut episode of Sunday Morning Slants this year. Do you think this is Josh Allen's last chance at winning a Super Bowl?
I don't think it is. I'm looking at their yearly salary cap right now, and they're really not paying anybody a crazy amount of money. But one thing, Josh Allen does go from $36 million to $56 million next year, which is a big gap. And once quarterbacks start getting paid, that's when you start seeing the team become less in relevance. So the window is definitely shrinking, but I feel like he still has a few more in him, but the contracts are just getting too big.
All right, Mason, I'll throw it over to you. Do you think this is Josh Allen's last chance at Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think kind of building off of what Luke was saying, I think maybe this is coming to the close of kind of an initial window, and then maybe there's a couple years where he's carrying more of the weight, and it's kind of like they need to retool and get some more young talent in to surround him, especially with the big contracts that he's going to keep having. But I think if he keeps playing at this level, eventually that window is going to open back up, or they're just going to be good enough, and there's going to be a year where everyone else isn't good enough and they might just walk into one. I think this year is huge for him. I think the way that we saw the Chiefs end their season last year, I know they won 15 games and they just seemed like unbeatable. But I think, as we've talked about in previous episodes, and I picked the Broncos to win that division, I think the Chiefs are due for regression. So if the Bills can capitalize on that and especially get the 1 seed and get home field advantage, I think that's going to be huge for them. I think the biggest downfall of all the quarterbacks in the AFC is having to go through Arrowhead in the playoffs, and nobody's been able to win there except for Joe Burrow that one random year. But, he's nice. But yeah, I think that's going to be huge for them this year. It's just trying to secure that 1 seed. And we saw the difference last year when they played the Ravens. I think the Ravens were arguably a better team. I don't think they had as many wins, but I think just all around, I like the Ravens the most last year. And with home field advantage, it came down to the last play and it paid off. So I think that's going to be huge for them, and they could definitely be in contention this year.
All right. Yeah, I hear what you're all saying. But I do think this is Josh Allen's last real chance at winning Super Bowl. And I kind of want to equate him to Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay. Rodgers early in his career, they won the Super Bowl, and the Packers looked unstoppable. Year after year, they were making the playoffs, but they could never get back to the big game. They lost, I think, 4 straight NFC Championship games, just could not get over the hump and get back into the Super Bowl. And Rodgers would obviously end his Packers career with just the 1 ring after getting one so early on. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Josh Allen, except that he didn't have the early Super Bowl, to kind of pad his resume. I think one of the things in the NFL now, it feels like there's a lot of these teams that you expect them to have double-digit wins every year. The Chiefs are one of them. The Ravens are one of them. Buffalo is certainly one of them. And we all made our picks for the season, which I'll reveal later. But, we all expect Buffalo to win the division again. We really don't see much of a competition there. We all kind of talked about how the Patriots are maybe growing as an organization again, but there's really just no threat in the division right now. But
No,
I just feel like
none at all.
there is none.
Like literally none. It's like
kind of what
almost
we
as
saw with
bad as
Baker.
when the Patriots exactly.
For 20 years they ran, and I do think, especially, the Patriots are a well-run organization, so I think they're building to what they need to have again. I don't know what the Jets or Dolphins are ever going to do realistically, but
The Jets are never going to make the playoffs ever again.
probably not. You could bet that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think we're getting in a similar situation
Lock
where
of the
Aaron
year.
Rodgers would go out year after year and play at an MVP caliber level. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but it didn't end up mattering at the end of the season because he was always going home early. And that's what Josh Allen has done year after year. And I just feel like we're like you guys were saying, we're kind of getting near the end of this window where Buffalo has just been a really great team. And I think other teams are starting to catch up. We saw, I think the Chargers, we talked about what Justin Herbert really represents, but with Harbaugh, it's kind of a new era with the Chargers. The Broncos made the playoffs last year. They have a young quarterback. The Patriots have a young quarterback. So we're starting to see some of these newer teams, pick it up. And then you have the Ravens, you have the Bengals, you obviously have the Chiefs with these elite quarterbacks. When is it going to be Joe Burrow's year to win a Super Bowl, right? When is it going to be Lamar Jackson's year to win a Super Bowl? The AFC is just always so loaded that I feel like, if you don't end up getting one while you're on top, you're going to have a regression, kind of like what we're expecting with the Chiefs. And then after you have that little bit of a dip, is Josh Allen still going to be Superman and be able to pull up the Bills by his bootstraps? I just don't see it. So I think this has to be the year, or I just don't see it happening.
How many years are they going to go in and be favored to win the Super Bowl and just losing
And just
the
not.
divisional or the AFC Championship again? Like at a certain point, I guess you are right. Like you run out of chances, and you don't really know when your last chance is going to come until it's already happened.
Yeah, I feel like it's just going to come down to when age finally starts getting up to Josh Allen. Like, I think it's already going to start getting up there because it's just Josh Allen and his friends right now. He does not have any good receivers. He's got the Bills' highest paid receiver is Curtis Samuel, and I think their next is Dawson Knox, who's not even the number 1 tight end. Like, it's just Josh Allen and his friends. Josh Allen's doing all the work.
Just going out there and slinging it himself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, outside of, he ended up getting Devontae Adams, but he never really
had Jordy Nelson for a while there. And
yeah, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers really made those guys.
I would agree.
Aaron Rodgers was Superman. And that's what Josh Allen is now. Like, the issue is, like, Josh Allen is the type of quarterback who, in any other situation, like, he can make an offense. It's just what the defense is, and that's always been the issue. Like, we've seen the 13-second playoffs. Like, that's where they need to improve.
Yeah, and I'll kind of build off your point about, like, Josh Allen's been relatively healthy, right? And he plays a very physical brand of football. He's not afraid to put his body on the line to make plays. The older you get, your body doesn't recover as well the next day, or the next play, rather. So I feel like that style of play is going to, at some point, catch up to him as well. And you might not have a full bill of health every season, and you might miss games, and that's going to hurt Buffalo. I could not tell you who their backup is at this
Mitchell
point.
Trubisky.
Is it still Trubisky?
Yeah, they re-signed him.
Are you counting on Trubisky to win you games when Allen's out? I'm not.
My guy.
So, yeah.
Who doesn't love Mitch though?
Mitch, what a guy.
Yeah, I guess thinking of that, I guess Allen's kind of the only guy who plays like that I can't remember him missing any sort of significant time. Like, has he missed a game in a season? Like, I feel like Jalen Hurts, Lamar, like all these guys who run, even Joe Burrow, especially at the beginning of the season, just miss multiple games a year. And I can't really think if Josh Allen has, which is kind of crazy to think about. But eventually, you're right that I think that's going to catch up to him. And what happens when, let's say it happens this year and he misses 3 games? I mean, that then ruins their chances of getting a 1 seed, and I think ruins their chances of winning a Super Bowl at that point. Like I said, I think it's going to be huge for them, is trying to get as high a seed as possible.
Yeah, looking back at it, he's played every game. I mean, there's a couple years where he played 16. Well, there was only 16 games. In 2022, he played 16 games. He probably sat
the last game of the season.
So
we've been talking about, like, we could talk about health all we want, but it's honestly all about the body just holding up. Like, we've been talking about Derrick Henry. He's gonna decline some year. He's gonna decline. He's gonna do it. He was ran down in high school, and in college he was just beaten. In the NFL, he's still kicking, playing all games.
He had the second highest yards ever last year.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, maybe Josh Allen can be one of those outlier guys, but we're not going to be able to believe it until we see it.
Yeah.
And we're at a point, it's like we're waiting. Buffalo's just waiting for the playoffs every year is the point we're at. Regular season success doesn't mean anything. It's really just
such a terrible spot to be in.
It really is. It's playoff. It's Super Bowl or bust for Buffalo. You got to get in the playoffs. Everybody expects them to get in the playoffs. It's what do you do when you get in there? And when you get in there, are you playing Lamar Jackson in the first round? Are you playing Joe Burrow in the first round? Are you playing Patrick Mahomes in the first round? Do you get the bye? And then are you playing one of those guys in the second round? So it's always going to be tough in the AFC, especially with those guys manning these, these franchise quarterbacks are manning these teams. Burrow's not going anywhere. Lamar's not going anywhere. Mahomes is not going anywhere. So it's just not going to get easier for Buffalo, I think, moving forward. So that's why I think this has to be the year. But I guess we're going to see. I know Buffalo plays Baltimore on Sunday night this week, week 1 Sunday Night Football, a rematch of last year's playoff matchup. And I think they played each other in week 2 last year, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was week 1. They kind of set the tone for the season. So I know it was a very early.
I think it was Ravens Chiefs was the opening last year.
Yeah, because that was the one where wasn't it like Isaiah Likely, his toe?
His toe was out of bounds. Maybe it was week 2 then that they played each other. But I mean, that's a huge matchup, and one of those two teams is going to start off 0-1.
Yeah, exactly. And that could affect them for the whole rest of the season. Like that could affect who ends up getting home field advantage in the AFC.
Both teams probably win at least 11 games.
Week 1. Yeah,
that tiebreaker is going to be decided in week 1. So yeah, it's going to be a tough, and they have a first place schedule again. I mean, they're going to be playing some tough teams. I don't know where they are on the strength of schedule wheel this year, but I got to imagine
number 23.
Yeah. So could imagine you're going to be getting some good opponents, but all right. I mean, talk about Allen, talking about the Super Bowl, talking about some of these other teams. I did want to transition. Like I said, we are 24 hours away from the NFL season kicking off. Obviously, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, defeated the Kansas City Chiefs, ended a potential 3-peat. So, Mason, I'll start with you here, and we're gonna go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go with our NFC pick. We're gonna go with our AFC pick after that, and then we will decide between the two who's gonna win. So, I will start with you in the NFC. Who will represent the NFC in Super Bowl 60?
That's a tough one. As a homer, I want to say the Eagles, but I just think it's so unlikely given the division curse, given nobody in the NFC has gone back to a Super Bowl after the fact. And I think they do have some weaknesses that they need to worry about. Man, it's tough. Give me, I guess give me the Lions. It feels like the Lions have been knocking on the door and just not able to stay healthy. I mean, maybe they put it together this year. It really, to me, it just comes down to who stays the healthiest. The other pick that I really like is the Rams, but that to me also just completely comes down to health. But I think the Lions top to bottom they're just too talented to not eventually get there.
Okay, Mason's going to go with the Detroit Lions finally getting back to the Super Bowl. Or have they actually ever gotten to the Super
No,
Bowl?
they're
I
the.
don't think so.
I'm pretty sure that they're the only franchise that has been around for every year of the Super Bowl, but to never make it.
So there you go.
Because the Browns didn't exist for a few years, and what is it? The Jags and someone else hasn't made it to the playoffs either.
So-
Or hasn't made it to the Super Bowl, but
They're bound
they
to
haven't
make it
been around.
eventually.
All right, Luke, I'll go to you. NFC, who do you have walking into the Super Bowl 60?
I want to say the Lions. I do, but I am very weary with them losing their offensive coordinator, losing their defensive coordinator. Didn't they even lose their special teams coach?
They might have.
Yeah, they lost all of their coaches. But I can't go them, but I'm easily gonna go with the Birds. I mean, they really didn't lose anybody of value, and they upgraded everywhere where they needed to. I think it's the clear, easy, obvious choice. They have that mentality. They've been there. It's got to be the Birds.
All right, Ethan, I'll go to you. Who do you have walking in the Super Bowl 60 for the NFC?
It's so hard because, well, I'm actually kind of glad that Mason didn't pick the Eagles because that makes it easier for me to pick the Eagles. And I mean, it is a homer pick, but I mean, even if you look at their roster, even with some of the with the majority of their losses in the offseason, their roster still stacks up to be probably the best in the NFC. Like, I mean, especially on offense, the defense is young and is fairly unproven. Even still, like, there's still some very talented players on there. Like I said, you have DeJean, you have Mitchell, you have Carter, and then you're just hoping on a lot of young guys. But the offense, it's kind of a known commodity at this point. And, you know, when everyone's hitting on all fronts, they're kind of unstoppable. So I'm going to have to go with the Eagles, I think.
All right, Ethan is joining Luke, picking the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. Pat and Kyle aren't on tonight. I know for a fact Pat is probably going to pick the Eagles.
That is a lock.
Yeah, that is a stone cold lock. Kyle might be a little more objective in his pick, but I think we can all kind of guess with Pat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers.
I knew
Ooh.
I had them winning the NFC North when we did that episode. I talked about how I do think that Jordan Love is the best quarterback in that division. I think last year, like I mentioned in that episode, go back and check it out. The early injury, I don't think he ever really got into a groove. And he ran into the best team in the league in the first round of the playoffs. And so, you know, the early exit, I don't think is an indication of poor performance as much as you just got beat by the better team, even though he didn't necessarily play well in that game. I think the Packers heading into the year were a really good team. I love the Matthew Golden pick in the first round. I think they finally have a true number one wide receiver. And then the Micah Parsons trade. I mean, come on. Like, that was a loser. I think that was a fleece, in all honesty. I think the Cowboys waited way too long. They dangled the carrot for too long. And for 2 first-round picks and a nose tackle, which I think Kenny Clark's a great player, but he's not Micah Parsons. I think that is just a huge upgrade. That is a team who's going out there and trying to win a Super Bowl. It reminds me of when the Rams got Von Miller. I just think it's another weapon for Green Bay, and it's going to make their defense that much better. And I like what they have, on offense. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have another solid year. They have a good wide receiver core. They just didn't have a number one. I think they have that in Golden. So I'm going to go with the Packers, and that's going to be my NFC pick. I think that all things considered, I think that they're going to be a really fun team to watch this year. So we'll see how things shake out. But,
I think it's crazy to think the Packers also were like a couple plays away from the Super Bowl 2 years ago, weren't they? Weren't they in the NFC Championship game, or was that the divisional?
They were in the divisional round against the Niners.
Okay. And then
the
Niners beat the
Niners
Lions
that year.
after kicking the crap out of the Cowboys.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I like the pick. They're definitely close, and they definitely have enough talent to do it, especially the Micah Parsons trade.
I'll give them credit that they're definitely closer to the Eagles caliber now than they were before, because I didn't even really view them as a threat before, to be honest. Like, I don't know. There's just something about Jordan Love. I don't understand what it is about that guy, but I just can't quite get behind him. But now with the But now with the trade and everything, I think they're in a because the rest of their roster is pretty stacked. Like they're clearly in. Like if the Eagles are at the top, they're right below them, but they're not that far.
Yeah, I can respect that pick from you, Matt. I really like Jordan Love. Last year I drafted him in fantasy, and he ended up getting hurt. And this year I'm doing it all again. I'm a big Jordan Love guy. I think I love the Marcus Golden pick, and just the whole core. They just got a bunch of 2s and 3s on that team, and with Golden now they finally have their one.
All right, sweet. Well, I wanted to shout out Dom Pepino. Dom's watching the chat. Love you, buddy. Appreciate you tuning in and leaving a comment. So, all right, we have the NFC picks. Now we're going to head over to the AFC. So, Ethan, I'll start with you in the AFC. Who do you have facing the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl?
Well, it's who we just spent the first half of the episode talking about. I'm going to have to go with the Bills. I mean, I think I just want it to happen. I mean, would there be a more entertaining Super Bowl than that? And I think that this has been my pick for I have at least picked the Bills Eagles to be the Super Bowl 2 other times during this podcast, I feel like. And at some point, it just has to happen. And even if I'm wrong, I think even at least one of those 2 teams are going to end up in the Super Bowl. So that's my pick.
All right, Luke, I'll throw it over to you. Who do you have facing the Philadelphia
Bills.
Eagles in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It's going to be the Bills. I love Josh Allen. We spent the whole podcast talking about him. And just like Ethan, I've picked the Bills to be my Super Bowl champions for the past 3 years at least. So it's like the window's closing. Josh Allen knows it. Sean McDermott knows it. They have to do something. They're whether it's they make a move at the deadline or what, but they're going to have to do everything they can to get there.
All right, Mason, you picked the Detroit Lions to get to the Super Bowl. Who will be their opponent?
Oh, man, do I want to say this one? Give me the battle of the big cats. Give me the Bengals.
Ooh,
From a
nice.
wild card position, nonetheless.
They have proven to be road warriors before. That's not bad.
I like them. I like Joe Burrow in the playoffs. I think he's that guy. I think he's going to do it. I think he can do it from that position. He's the only quarterback in the AFC that has proven that he can win on the road against these tough teams. So I think even in the position where their defense kind of maybe gives them a little trouble during the regular season and doesn't clinch them that division, I like them in the Super Bowl against the Lions. It'd be an entertaining Super Bowl.
That would be a lot of fun. I think both matchups you guys have laid out would be a lot of fun. I have an even more fun, in my opinion, when I think that the Baltimore Ravens are finally going to break through. Lamar is finally going to have that playoff performance, because I know everybody, really drags on Josh Allen for his playoff performance, but Lamar really hasn't beaten anybody.
Right there with him.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it, right? Is this the last chance for Josh Allen and the Bills? This might be the last chance for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, the Ravens have been in the playoffs even before, Lamar with Joe Flacco for all those years. So they've had this long string of success. It's been a long time since they were in the Super Bowl. Obviously, last time was the Harbaugh Bowl in, 2011. So it's been nearly 15 years. I think the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar's finally going to break through. 2-time MVP in the regular season. I kind of consider him the modern Peyton Manning. Hasn't gotten it done yet, but the regular season success has been there. So I'm going to go Packers-Ravens in this year's Super Bowl. So I think all of these matchups will be a lot of fun. For one thing, it's fresh because the Chiefs aren't in it.
We're gonna end up with like Chiefs 49ers again.
It's been Chiefs 49ers or Chiefs Eagles the last 4 years. So it'd be nice to have a couple new teams. Okay, so those are our picks to get into the game. Now we got to pick on who's going to win. So Luke, I'll start with you. Who do you have winning Super Bowl 60?
It's the Bills. It's got to be the Bills. You don't go to 4 Super Bowls and lose, You don't do that. I mean, the odds that they go to a 5th one and lose are very small.
I mean, you're not wrong. But
that is sound logic. It's
perfect. Is sound logic. When it lands on black 4 straight times, it has to be red.
See, that's how casinos lose their money, because people aren't smart, are too smart for them.
This is not gambling advice.
No,
Just
I'm
gonna
not
throw
an
that
expert.
advisory out
Call
there.
1-800
Now
gambling.
here's our sponsor.
Yeah, brought to you by.
Parks
Um,
Casino.
By Matt Watson Sportsbook.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking bets on the side.
Legal
right.
only
Ta-
in
the
New
tax
Jersey
picks.
and Delaware.
Yeah, legal in my basement only. Okay, we have a pick of the Bills by Luke. Mason, I'll go to you. Who are you taking in Super Bowl 60?
I'm gonna go with the Bengals. Really, just because I think it would be funny to watch the Lions lose in the Super Bowl. And I hate Lions fans because they're so cocky after their
For no
team's been
reason.
good forever. And I also just think it would be funny for Joe Burrow to win a Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So just for memes, I have the Bengals over the Lions in the Super Bowl.
That
Oh
would be
my God.
tragic. That'd be so tragic for Lions.
Dude, that would be
fans.
Yeah,
so
but the
hilarious.
Bengals have it. But the Bengals don't have a
Imagine
Super
the-
Bowl either, to be honest.
Imagine the
Fair.
spike in crime rate in Detroit. It would be a straight line, just up.
Oh
dear
man, that's
God.
awesome.
All right. Well, we have a pick of the Bengals, a pick of the Bills. Ethan, I'll throw it over to you. Who's winning Super Bowl 60?
I mean, all right. Well, I guess since Luke picked the Bills, I am gonna go with the Eagles.
The
Originally, I was
homer.
actually gonna pick the Bills, but they're not. They're just this is not gonna happen. Let's be honest. The Bills are one of those franchises that's just never gonna get one, no matter
Honestly,
how hard
yeah.
they try.
I think that'll be the nail in the coffin for Josh. I think if Josh Allen makes it to a Super Bowl and loses, I don't think he's ever winning one. I think it's like
No.
a stone cold lock, like
Yeah.
plus 5,000. He's not even making it back.
Kind of like Joe Burrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, this
I
is
mean, he
his
made
year.
it his what, second year and hasn't been back.
Yeah, Joe
So,
Burrow got it done or got it out of the way early though. It's just been a continual tease for Josh Allen for the last like 8 years.
That's fair. All right. I'm staying in the AFC because I'm gonna go with the Ravens over the Packers. I think this is Lamar's year. And I don't ironically enough, I only have him in one fantasy league. I have Josh Allen, I think, in my other 2 leagues. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I just think this is Lamar's year, and I think the Ravens are a really good team. It'd be cool to see some of those guys. I think Derrick Henry, winning a Super Bowl would be really cool and put a bow on a Hall of Fame career. And there's just a lot of other guys the Ravens have. The Ravens always have a great defense. And I think their offense last year was solid, and I think they'll take another step forward. And I have them beating the Green Bay Packers. So I like that we all have a different pick, though. I think
I do
that's
like
good.
that. And honestly, I wouldn't be that mad at any of these Super Bowl outcomes, to be honest.
Anybody
There's
but
one
the
I would
Chiefs.
like the most, but
Yeah.
Mm.
there's
Go
some.
figure.
But like, if it was like the Bills or the Bills or the oh my God, or the Ravens or the Bengals, I mean, they're all good enough picks. Like they're not too toxic.
Yeah, all of those are games that I can watch and just relax and enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I've had like a rooting interest in every Super Bowl for like the last 15 years. It's mostly rooting against the Patriots or the Chiefs. So it would be nice to have just an enjoy like the Rams Bengals. That was great because I could just enjoy the game. Other than that, it's been a rooting interest every time.
That is so crazy. It's such a random Super Bowl in the middle of just like either Patriots or Chiefs or Bucks or like just that one random Rams Bengals game. Just
Gotta
slid that
love it.
one in there.
But okay, yeah. So I'm gonna be releasing. We all made picks on who we think is gonna win each division. Obviously, if you've watched the last few episodes, we've been given some of the division picks during those episodes. But I'm gonna be releasing a graphic that shows who we have winning each division. Some of the wild card teams. Mason obviously teased where he has the Bengals ending up. So make sure you check that one out. And then yeah, I'm gonna get the picks from Kyle and Pat as well for who do they think they have in Super Bowl 60 as well as their winner. Spoiler alert: Pat's gonna pick the Eagles. But it'll be interesting to see what Kyle picks. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Obviously, like we said, tomorrow NFL kicks off. We'll be back next week to recap everything that happens in week 1. Looking forward to a lot of great matchups. Eagles Cowboys on Thursday, Chargers Chiefs on Friday, Bills Ravens on Sunday. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Looking forward to having football back. So thank you everybody
As we
for
all
listening. Yeah, we're amped. So
the season is
everybody for
back,
listening.
baby. Best time of the year.
yes, sir.